Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Blackshirt Breakdown. My name is Steve Mark. I'm a staff writer at Inside Nebraska, and he is the Jay Foreman, our NFL veteran and former Nebraska Blackshirt. Jay, we are back once again. I am doing the show on the road. You are at your house, it seems like. And look, we have a really
Right.
fun Husker recruit to break down, and Kewan Lacy. Jay Kawan is a three-star running back out of Lancaster, Texas. This is a big deal, a really big deal. So, Jay, just initial thoughts when Kewan Lacy came across your social media feeds and said that he was headed to Nebraska.
Well, when I first saw him, I mean, he's just real smooth, and what I mean is he's a patient running back. He knows how to set up blocks. He knows how to read blocks. He runs at least obviously on his tape, he runs the plays correctly, and then he sets up his second level moves. I think he's always thinking a step ahead, and that's what good running backs do. They don't worry about the front line. They worry about how I can beat the linebackers and safeties, and I think he has home run speed as well. Versatility, you'll see, and if people go watch his huddle, where he's a good pass blocker, a really excellent option. Variety of his skill set is definitely was appealing, but then also, even though he can do a variety of things, he can still tote the pill, right? And he's a guy that I feel that with his running style, that the more carries that he gets or the more touches that he gets or would get, and this is just in high school now, he needs to develop that he would get a lot better. He would get stronger. And that's what you want. You want guys not only that can finish games, provide some flexibility and do specialty things, but you want somebody, the biggest thing is that can you finish? And you want guys that can finish. So he looks like a finisher, and you see it in his running style. And his ability to do multitude of things is definitely appealing, and I'm assuming was appealing to Coach Rhule and Satterfield.
Just a little background on Kawan. He is a three-star out of Lancaster, Texas, like we said before. This is his second high school in Texas. His first one was Nolan Catholic out of Fort Worth, and he was a 1,000-yard rusher as a sophomore, starting at running back at Nolan Catholic. And then he transferred to Lancaster, where he shared reps at the starting running back spot with another three-star running back who is currently on Arizona State's roster. So this upcoming season, his senior year at Lancaster, Kawan will be the starting running back, and who knows, they might throw it to him a lot, just like they did when he was a junior. But some stats wise for Kawan when he was a junior: 730 rushing yards and 11 touchdowns, and also over 200 yards receiving with 3 scores. So he caught it, he run it, he did basically everything for Lancaster last year. Like I said, he's a well built 6 foot, 205 pounder, which is an excellent, really excellent size. And when we get into these highlights, you will see the violence and the anger that he runs with. He fights. He literally fights guys who tries to tackle him, and that's I just love this kid so much. And I think Husker fans are really good. Enjoy watching these highlights. So let's get to these highlights right now. And Jay, obviously, this first play is kind of laugh out loud funny, honestly, because nobody can really nobody could have stopped Kawan with this play, but it's easy to see why this one was the first play on his huddle highlight.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing about him that I didn't mention before is that you talk about he's well built, but he has an excellent balance. And you look at
Mm-hmm.
that, the balance right there, where you see him, he's always, essentially has 2 feet on the ground, right? And so he's hard to tackle. And I know that from experience. There's some running backs that just are built really well in the proportion that they're built from their waist up and waist down, but then also their ability to have balance and be able to shed blocks and not take direct hits. So you see that, and it's a great individual effort to get there, and you see all these guys sliding off them, right? It reminds me a
Mm-hmm.
little bit of Edgerrin James. Now, granted, I'm not one to compare it. I just go from experience of somebody I had a hard time tackling, and this is what Edgerrin James, when he came into the NFL and throughout his whole career, he used to do. You thought you had a clean shot on him, but he had great balance and great vision. Every time that he's breaking a tackle, his eyes are up, so that means he's thinking past the initial tackler. But his balance right here and strength is something that definitely would be on anybody's highlight tape. See how he absorbs the block and he kind of just twists off it. Has really good balance right there. So he's a strong kid. He has good ball security right there. And he's still, trying to get back to the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
But then he gets helped out right there where he just kind of gets slung right over to the right, and then he ends up scoring. And I don't know whether the penalty was on his team or not, but it's a great effort by him that he's, not only has first effort, he has second and third effort. and his ability to make people miss, withstand some punishment, not take direct hits, would allow him to have some longevity and not be injury prone because of his ability to absorb and then continue to run.
Yeah, absolutely. And getting back to this second play here, this second run, we have 5 plays of Kawan here. 2 of them are runs, 3 of them are receptions. And this is just another one that shows the kind of power, the strength, the lower body strength that he runs with, just running through arm tackles. And that's exactly what you want to see, right?
Yeah, I mean, when you're 6 feet tall and you're built like he is, you can tell he's legit 205. He's not 205, and he comes on a visit and he's 180. You know, he's a big kid, big strong kid. Again, he runs behind his pads, but then he runs with good balance and good vision. And when you see it right here, it's just pretty much an inside zone, wedge blocking, man on man, monitor. You got to make somebody miss, and there's the easy defender or the free defender in the hole. He kind of slithers through there, obviously runs him over, but then is able to break another tackle right there that should have been a 5 or 6 yard gain, and kind of wipes him off, and then has the vision to still see number 72's block, and then was able to turn it into 6 points. So what you like right there is like, okay, a 5 or 6 yard run, that's a good run, right? 6, 7, 8 yard run. He's able to take that to, a 28 yard touchdown just by individual effort, but then his athletic ability and balance right there is something that's very appealing. These are runs that you want to see from a high 3-star, potential 4-star recruit. And a kid like this, playing, second string or splitting time, his rankings in the class rankings will go up. And then also one thing about him being in the situation that he was in last year, with the young man that's at Arizona or Arizona State, I think you mentioned, is that he's not afraid of competition. See, part of the reason why he's running like this is because he wants those carries, and he's proven that I am the guy. And if he's not the guy last year, which, you had another great player back there, he didn't pout, he didn't do anything, negative. He just said, you know what, I'm going to show you, and he was willing to accept a different role. So it goes beyond, the great runs, the balance, the speed, the vision. It's another check in the good box of him as a person.
Yeah, and absolutely. And let's get into these receptions now, because look, I mean, if he's splitting time with another guy who was Division I Power 5 bound, they're gonna still use him. And Lancaster coaches still found a way to get him on the field and get him the ball. I love the way they did that, because the short throw game, whether it was a screen when he was out as a receiver, or in the slot here, where he takes just a few steps upfield, turns around, is like, okay, give me the ball, show the quarterback your numbers, and go. When he has the ball in his hands as a receiver, he just turns into a running back in space. And that's what I love most about him, because he is just, I don't know, I can't say enough about good things about Kewan Lacy, because I really think that Nebraska got an excellent one here. And you can look at the 3-star. You cannot agree with it. You could say he might be a 4-star. He might be bumped up, but I don't care. Just watch the tape. He is a football player, and Nebraska got an excellent one, and they beat out some really good programs for him. Ole Miss was very, very interested. Arizona State was interested. They're trying to test their waters back in Lancaster, Texas, again, for another really talented recruit. But Jay, this is a really good route. This is a really good catch. And then obviously just what he does after the catch is special, right?
Look, Nebraska needs football players, and you look for him and give it to their coaching staff. You have 2 Division I running backs. One has a little bit probably more versatility, and he's a younger kid. Why sit him on the bench when you can get him and really expand his horizons as a football player? And this is it. This is no different than an outside zone. I mean, he just hit the outside and just made 3 or 4 guys miss. He set up the would-be tackler safety right there, and then he had enough speed to outrun some angles. And so this is nothing. This is just kind of a la San Francisco 49ers back in the day with Roger Craig and them. Get it to your best football players out in space, and let them turn a simple play of 5-yard gain right into a 45-yard touchdown. That's it right here. This move right here, the hezzy right here, gave him a little head fake, and then the explosiveness shows you the short area quickness and the short area burst that a lot of the scouts and prognosticators look for. And so you like this right here. You like the versatility. You can see why he was approached by Lane Kiffin and then obviously Pac-12 coaches, because he's a matchup, nightmare at the high school level for some linebackers and safeties. And see right there, number 18 right there, he's still looking. He got hit with the okey doke, and he's looking to the sideline and thinking that's a penalty, but it really wasn't. And so that's a great play right there. great play design and a great finish.
And right here with the receiver screen, he just takes it. And again, the vision, the running style for him when he gets the ball in space. And now you have a 6 foot, 205-pounder out on the outside against, oh man, he pointed at him. That is awesome. And just the 6 foot, 205-pound frame up going against, smaller corners, smaller defensive backs. Just a good game plan from the Lancaster coaches if you have an athlete like this.
Right. So, what they're doing is trying to, maybe it's 22 personnel. So they might have their 22 personnel out there on defense, right? And it might be,
yeah.
And then you see it's a pretty good block right there. One of the things, even with receivers, you can become physical on the outside just based on how you run and how you play call. And it starts with the ability to set up. I call this a smoke screen. It used to be called a jailbreak screen. How you set up your blocks, right? Do you sell it to the inside pursuit? And what he did was he kept it tight to the inside blocker. And then what do you do, Steve? He hit the sideline. Most explosive plays come from once you hit the sideline. And, that's what he did. And see right here, it's good blocking on the outside, but he kept it tight. He didn't go towards the hash right there. He knew he was coming. And then he, absorbed that block. And guess what he did? Kept the balance. Now he's a running back, right? He's done this probably 80 million times. Spun through there, stiff arm. That's what you like, right? Good ball security on the outside. And he's able to break that tackle. And then he has enough speed for the next 40 yards to outrun an angle. And, again, turn a simple play into an explosive play. And that's what you want. You want playmakers, right? And, it's hard to, really evaluate some tapes if a guy's just getting in, just running, not being touched. This guy's breaking tackles and then obviously breaking explosive runs on top of it. So it's something that is definitely appealing. It gives him some flexibility, especially early in his career, to get on the field and be used in a multitude of ways. And then allows them to have another football player, but then also excellent running back, on the travel roster.
And when I was watching these, doing a little research on Kewan Lacy, it kept the Marcus Satterfield comment about him wanting to build a positionless offense at Nebraska. I mean, Kewan Lacy just fits that because of what he can do as both a running back and a receiver. So, and I think that's definitely the plan. That's going to be the plan with Kewan Lacy when he gets to Lincoln. Is he's not going to just going to be a running back. He's going to maybe split out to the slot sometimes, just catch a screen, run a slant, catch a little 5-yard slant and see what he can do yards after catch wise. So, and I think this is, this little swing pass that we're going to watch here. It really shows off his speed too, because the big thing with Kewan Lacy, you can look at the physicality, you can look at the violence as a runner, how he just fights tacklers that are trying to bring him down. He also has breakaway speed, and that's the big thing that I think a lot of people are wanting in their running backs and wanting in their athletes with the ball in their hands.
Yeah, look, the more you can do, and whether you call it positionless football and not, pitching somebody into a hole of just being a running back. Look, at the end of the day, when you're looking at the NFL game, you better be able to do more than just run the ball, unless you're Derrick Henry. And Derrick Henry is actually pretty good out of the backfield. So for him, I like it right here is that I look at the route first, right? Look at the ease that he runs this flat route, right? Where he hits the line, no hesitation, head wrapped around right at the line of scrimmage, catches it outside. He's outrunning some angles, and those kids can run, and he obviously outran 24 right there to turn into another explosive play. So you like to have this playmaking ability on the field, somebody that can come in and obviously playing in the backup role right now, or say a co-starter role, to do multitude of things, get his hands on the ball. And I like his explosive play or his factor rating based on how many touches he got, and I like it right here where he hits the sideline and stays on it and outruns the angles. And it shows what type of player he is. You're playing against good competition down there, and he's coming in, and his explosive play or his big play ability is put on display. And you got to give it to the coaching staff, but give it to him. Look, if he was upset, about splitting time with another Power 5 running back, you wouldn't be seeing these plays. He wouldn't be ranked. He wouldn't have Ole Miss on him. He wouldn't have Arizona State on him. You wouldn't have Texas A&M wanting him, right? And this is the way. The running back position is needed and viewed right now, because everything is about matchups, right? So you're trying to, have as many matchups across the field that's advantageous for the offense without changing your personnel. And that's what they're trying to do, because now people know that, there's a lot of DBs and receivers out there. There's a dime a dozen, and so they're going to lock each other up and eliminate each other. You can run unique coverages to kind of take away a receiver. But what you can't take away is the athletic ability advantage or size advantage of a running back or a tight end or a unicorn type of athlete against a smaller or slower inside personnel. And so there's just not enough of those guys. And so for him, having the ability to run the ball, catch the ball, I know he's a good blocker. I've watched it. And then also be a matchup problem based on the personnel. So if you can have 22 personnel and you have another running back that has similar skill set, you can't game plan. I know this from experience. You can't game plan for one. So what I mean by this is, say you ran 22 personnel with two of your kind of eye backs. One's, let's just say Derrick Henry, or in a better case, say Ron Dane, not a true pass catching threat. And the other is a Alvin Kamara or somebody like that. You could say, okay, well, Alvin Kamara and Dane are in, and we can run this coverage because these are the plays. Well, if you have two Alvin Kamaras or two guys that can, catch it out of the backfield and run it and pass block, so forth and so on, then you have to play more blanket regular coverages, and you can't fixate on one. And so then therefore you're always playing on your heels as a defense. And so, if you get the more players that you get in at a certain position group room that can do more than one thing and do them well, allows this offense and offensive coordinator to be more explosive.
And that's what we're seeing, especially with the offensive recruiting from Nebraska, especially with guys like Carter Nelson. If Carter Nelson, if he can bulk up and show that he can be a Power 5 blocker, just the things that they could do personnel wise, right, Jay? Where, maybe one play Carter Nelson is out there with two other tight end bodies and it's a power look and he's in there as a tight end. But then the next play, the offense doesn't sub. So then the defense doesn't sub, and Carter Nelson is split out wide as a wide receiver. And now it's a two tight end look. So, I mean, it's just, it's fun to think about, and you can see how it would give defensive coordinators headaches with guys like these, but it's definitely something that I think the coaches are really focused on, bringing in talent wise, guys who can do that. We saw that with, again, Carter Nelson, Ishmael Smith Flores, a guy who hasn't played a lot of football, but at 6'4", 230 pounds, he's kind of that hybrid tight end receiver. Keelan Smith from Missouri, is that also similar? 6'3", around 205 pounds, also that hybrid tight end receiver body. Right. So, I mean, it's fun to think about. It's fun to follow along. But Jay, one more question before we get out of here. The month of June, Nebraska really turned it up recruiting wise. I mean, every day almost, it seemed like there's another recruit being added to the 2024 class. What are your thoughts on Matt Rhule and just his job recruiting wise in the month of June, because it was a big one?
Yeah, I mean, I think the whole staff has done it good. I mean, give them credit. They seem like they've had a plan. They have, I think, a specific eye on the type of player that they want, and they're trying to build it, through the trenches and be more explosive out on the edges. And they've had, look, they're from, have deep roots in Texas. They had that big kind of satellite camp down there, and so you saw 2 or 3 commits come right out of there. We haven't, they got a surprise commit from Florida. And got the local guys as well. So I think, I mean, look, at the end of the day, Matt Rhule said, look, don't pat us on the back for doing our job. But what they're doing is doing their job, and they know they have a plan as of right now of who they want and the type of player that they target. They're not, they're still recruiting the Matter Day guys and all that stuff. But when they see somebody that fits kind of their script, right, or fits a need or fits a position that they view, if the work is done, could be successful, they go after them and they don't waste time. The one thing about them, they're in early. They're not going to play the slow game. They're not going to yank your chain. But then also what that goes, they're building relationships. So if they're giving you the opportunity, the offer, they want reciprocation and communication on the back end. So for an athlete's perspective, it's more authentic because it's not all given to the athlete, let me know, or I'll let you know if I really want you. And the athlete moves on, then they come in at the last minute. They're offering guys, but then also they're putting I wouldn't say a timetable, but they know how far they can go and how far they're willing to go based on the recruit. And they have an eye, try to get in early on a guy, like just like, this young man, you want to get in early on him, because when you think of somebody like this, you want to make sure that you're first, right? Because that's going to, you're going to have competition down the road. He's going to have a great senior year. He's going to just go up in rankings just by osmosis. So you want to make sure that relationship is still there, to make sure he's committed. And I think, and lastly, what they're doing is they're accumulating as many athletes and giving them the possibility and opportunity, true opportunity to be successful. And if they come in and kind of follow suit and get in, entrenched into Nebraska as it is right now, you'll be successful. And so, look, I always say this: every recruiting class, not everybody's going to make it, and that's just the way it is. There's going to be guys that have opportunity, just feel like they want to go somewhere else, but there's going to be some guys that you hear about and some that you don't or not think about that are going to really be successful. And that's what, Matt Rhule and staff has done so far, is giving guys a lot of opportunity. Guys have seen the opportunity. I think the personal connection with these guys is pretty good.
Yeah.
And then also, I think having some sort of long-term and past success with high school coaches that they can trust and trust them.
Mm-hmm.
And he's built trust here locally. You guys have talked about it, it seems like ad nauseum, where they know when these guys are walking into the high school,
yep,
they're there. They're really there. They're not just going through the motions. And when you are really not going through the motions in any type of relationship, it's going to be well received.
Well said, Jay. So, yeah, I mean, Kewan Lacy, 3-star running back, receiver, athlete. He'll be a running back here out of Lancaster, Texas. Jay, excellent stuff yet again. It was really fun to break this kind of athlete down with you. So thank you very much. But for Jay Foreman, I am Steve Mark, and that was a Blackshirt breakdown, Kewan Lacy style, 3-star running back out of Lancaster, Texas. We will catch you all later.